Welcome to Module 1 of the Administration Code Regulations 703 KAR 5080. My name is Shara Savage. I'm a consultant in the Office of Assessment and Accountability. Module 1 will focus on introducing the regulation and the rationale behind the regulation, test security, test preparation. Lastly, Module 1 will touch briefly on the inclusions of special populations and the alternate assessment. Please note, the page numbers on the slides represents the information found in the regulation document itself. The support material that you received include Administration Code for Kentucky's Educational Assessment Program and this PowerPoint. What is the rationale behind the Administration Code? Professional ethics, educational defensibility, and student ownership are the standards used in determining appropriate practices. Any test preparation practice must be done in a manner that will impact instruction and benefit student learning. Actions taken by anyone involved with the test administration shall be done to benefit students' overall learning and not solely to gain a testing advantage. The assessments are designed for students to demonstrate their understanding. Inappropriate assistance can lead to invalid and unreliable test results, impacting students, parents, schools, and communities. Now let's take a look at test security. KDE employs various data forensic techniques as part of its test monitoring process. The purpose is to examine anomalies that could possibly indicate wrongdoing and to investigate as needed. In fact, the investigation could be used to exonerate individuals suspected or accused of wrongdoing. Some discovery of inappropriate practices can be cheat sheets, adults changing answers, receiving help, or verbal cues from administrators. Each year, staff from OAA visit schools during the testing window. The visits are announced to the District Assessment Coordinator, the DAC, shortly before the staff arrives at the school building. Sites are chosen by both purposeful and random selection. OAA staff will interview school and district staff, as well as request to see storage and testing areas. Certain documents are also collected at the time of the visit. Any situation that is found to violate the Administration Code or the Inclusions of Special Populations regulation is reported as an allegation. Allegations are investigated by KDE staff. The investigations require documentation of the incident to be submitted and can include additional school visits and interviews with those involved, students and staff. Let's take a look at appropriate instruction and test simulation practices. Let's start with what are considered acceptable instructional practices. Concepts appropriate for curriculum instruction can be found in the Kentucky Academic Standards. Other regulations apply to curriculum, instruction, reward funding, etc. When planning activities tied to assessment, refer to the regulations. Reviews are part of standard instruction. Continuing this type of instruction during the testing window is expected and should be reflected in lesson plans. Reflections in the lesson plans will serve as evidence of inclusion in ongoing instruction should there be questions about the review's timing. Employment outside of the school day is a teacher's choice. Examples of outside of employment may be individual student tutoring paid for by parents, ACT National Administration, Sullivan Learning Centers, etc. Now please note, teachers and staff shall not be required to conduct test preparation activities instead of regular classroom instruction and shall not be required to conduct test prep activities outside the normal workday. Please see page 13 of the Administration Code Regulation. Test simulation practices are allowed under certain circumstances. Activities related to testing preparation should be planned to improve student learning, including examining student results, student feedback, and advanced instruction. Events for the sole purpose of raising test scores or practice with no feedback are not acceptable. Testing activities that provide feedback that can benefit students' overall learning are acceptable and encouraged. Students should be familiar with using test-taking strategies for assessment, such as those used in the classroom, direct formative assessments, etc., not just for the use on state-required assessments. Test prep courses, whether developed by teachers, districts, or commercially bought products, are acceptable as long as the results are used to identify student strengths and weaknesses and to guide student instruction. Beginning on page 16 of the regulation, it touches on the inclusions of special populations regulation and the alternate assessment. If you are providing accommodations, you will also need to train on the inclusions of special populations training. Annual training of the inclusions of special populations regulation is required if you provide accommodations to students. Annual training is essential for staff to understand their role in providing accommodations and to meet regulatory requirements. Accommodations are intended to allow students with disabilities access to the curriculum and assessments at the same level as general education students. The purpose of accommodations is not to provide an advantage or to ensure proficient scores. The inclusions of special populations regulation is referenced in the Administration Code. A violation of this regulation constitutes a violation of the Administration Code. A violation of the Administration Code does not necessarily constitute a violation of the inclusions of special populations regulation. What is the alternate assessment program? The alternate assessment is for students with the most severe cognitive disabilities. Only a student who meets all the eligibility requirements for the alternate assessment program may participate. Eligible students shall be identified through the Admissions and Release Committee process. Interventions related to alternate assessment should not diminish student ownership, but rather aid in the student exhibiting his or her knowledge and skills. Accommodations used must be on the student's IEP, 504, or PSP, and the student should be accustomed to their use. Altering student results for any reason is considered a violation. Neither students nor adults may continue working with the test materials after the alternate assessment test window deadline. Are there additional trainings required? Yes, there are additional trainings required for those administering the alternate assessment. The other trainings can be found on the KDE webpage. This concludes Module 1 of the Administration Code Regulation. Please review all 6 modules to complete the Administration Code training. If you have specific questions about the Administration Code training, Module 1, or any module-related questions, please feel free to contact KDE DAC Information at dacinfo@education.ky.gov or call us at 502-564-4394. Thank you for your time and your participation today.